But since you chose option 2 earlier, an expanded discussion using the article as a starting point, I can do that. A long, detailed, deeply contextual discussion centered on the topic of the article and broader reactions, background, culture, and implications. Below is a comprehensive, analytical text of several thousand words that draws on the People.com article and related reporting about the topic, but rewritten with original analysis and synthesis rather than reproducing the original article's text. What began as a seemingly offhand remark from one of Hollywood's most talked about young actors has spiraled into a wide-ranging cultural conversation that touches on how we value art, how celebrities communicate in the social media era, and the complex position that long-standing art forms like opera and ballet occupy in 21st century popular culture. At the center of that discussion is Timothée Chalamet, the 30-year-old actor whose recent comments about opera and ballet have sparked backlash from performers, institutions, fellow artists, and even cultural commentators across the entertainment world. Chalamet, a performer celebrated for his work in both independent and high-profile films, ignited the controversy during a public conversation with actor Matthew McConaughey at a Variety and CNN town hall earlier in the year. In the course of discussing how audiences engage with entertainment and his own ideas about sustaining interest in cinema, he made a remark to the effect that he did not want to work in art forms where people say, "Keep this thing alive," even though no one really cares about it anymore, specifically citing ballet and opera as examples. His comment was framed with feigned levity. He immediately added a note of respect for ballet and opera before quipping that he just lost 14 cents in viewership for having said it, but the impact of that offhand remark was far from lighthearted. It quickly went viral across social media and became a flashpoint in a broader debate about the place of classical art forms in contemporary society. The backlash, artists and institutions pushed back. Within hours, the reaction from the world of performing arts was swift and multifaceted. Opera houses and ballet companies from around the world took to social media to refute the idea that their art forms lack relevance or audiences. The Metropolitan Opera in New York City posted a montage video showcasing its behind-the-scenes preparation and performances, captioning it in a way that directly responded to Chalamet's words. The Seattle Opera offered a promotional discount code using Chalamet's first name as a tongue-in-cheek rebuttal. Individual artists also spoke out. Prominent ballet figures such as Tyler Peck of the New York City Ballet emphasized that audiences do, in fact, care deeply about ballet, highlighting sold-out performances and emotional engagement that classical dance still inspires. Opera singers and dance professionals echoed similar sentiments, underscoring the rigorous dedication required to master those craft and the cultural value those disciplines have maintained over centuries. The controversy wasn't limited to classical arts practitioners. Mainstream entertainers, from TV hosts to seasoned actors, weighed in. On the talk show The View, one panelist characterized Chalamet's words as vapidity and shallow, warning against publicly dismissing established art forms. Whoopi Goldberg exhorted caution, reminding audiences that casting aspersions on other art forms can damage relationships across creative fields. Meanwhile, celebrities such as Jamie Lee Curtis offered a more measured but still critical response. Curtis, herself a veteran of Hollywood whose eldest daughter teaches dance, described the comments as silly and expressed confidence that Chalamet, in hindsight, likely regrets what was said. She framed the backlash not just as a defense of ballet and opera, but as a testament to the importance of treating all art forms with respect, particularly those with long histories and devoted communities. Why the outrage? At first glance, the uproar might seem disproportionate, a single interview comment blown up by social media outrage. But the furor speaks to deeper issues within both the arts community and the broader culture. For many practitioners of ballet and opera, Chalamet's remarks appeared not just dismissive but dismissive in a way that diminishes the lifelong work of performers and creators who struggle to keep these art forms accessible and relevant. Ballet and opera are both centuries-old traditions that rely on intense training, community support, and often underfunded institutions to survive in a world dominated by blockbuster cinema and digital entertainment. To some, hearing a young actor disparage those disciplines, however unintentionally, underscored existing anxieties about declining public support for live performance arts. The irony noted by critics is that Chalamet's own artistic pedigree is connected to dance. His mother, sister and grandmother were involved in ballet. His sister trained at the School of American Ballet, which made the perceived dismissal feel especially poignant to many. Some argued that someone with that background should be more, not less, sensitive to the rigors and emotional power of classical art forms. The cultural debate, relevance and respect. What plays out in the coverage surrounding these events is not simply disagreement over one celebrity's comment, but a broader cultural conversation about how different generations, and different sectors of the arts, perceive value and relevance. Critics of Chalamet's comment argue that opera and ballet aren't relics of bygone eras but living art forms with dedicated audiences, rich traditions and emotional impact that can be as profound as any modern film. Defenders point to packed houses, sold-out tours, and the passionate communities that rally around these performances as evidence that the claim "no one cares" is simply inaccurate. Others have interpreted the backlash as partly fueled by the dynamics of online discourse, where missteps, particularly those involving perceived slights against established cultural institutions, can quickly become magnified beyond their original context. Some defenders of Chalamet have suggested that his remark was an attempt to compare the challenges facing cinematic audiences with those confronting performing arts, not a deliberate attack on ballet or opera itself. This reading frames the controversy as a miscommunication amplified by social media rather than an outright indictment of classical art. The intersection of art forms and public perception. The debate also highlights how different art forms intersect with public perceptions of cultural value. Cinema, despite the challenges of streaming and shifting audience habits, remains a dominant entertainment medium with widespread global visibility. Opera and ballet, by contrast, often rely on more traditional modes of consumption: live performance, theatrical venues, community outreach, and may struggle for mainstream attention in an era dominated by digital platforms. As some commentators have noted, the fact that opera and ballet have persisted for hundreds of years despite these pressures speaks to their cultural resilience and enduring appeal. The backlash isn't simply about defending tradition for tradition's sake, but about affirming the emotional and historical significance of artistic disciplines that have shaped centuries of storytelling and human expression. Celebrity culture and responsibility. Another aspect of this debate is the role of celebrity voices in shaping cultural discourse. In an era where public figures' offhand comments can become viral sensations, there's a heightened responsibility, whether fair or not, placed on celebrities to consider how their words might be received by diverse audiences. Chalamet, who is currently in the spotlight as an Oscar nominee for his role in Marty Supreme, finds himself navigating this reality. A comment intended to spark conversation about cinema and audience habits instead became a focal point for broader debates about artistic respect. Some media analysts have suggested the controversy could have been avoided or mitigated with clearer phrasing or an explicit affirmation of the value of all art forms, underscoring how nuanced discussions can be lost in translation in high-visibility moments. What this means for the arts. Beyond the personalities involved, the incident has had one unifying effect. It has reignited public attention on opera, ballet, and their place in contemporary culture. For years, arts organizations have sought ways to attract younger audiences, diversify programming, and communicate the relevance of their work in a rapidly changing entertainment ecosystem. The backlash to Chalamet's comment, paradoxically, has brought renewed visibility to those goals, prompting institutions to showcase their offerings and engage with audiences directly, from social media promotions to public invitations to attend performances. In that sense, while the original comment may have been generative of controversy, the ensuing dialogue reflects an active and passionate cultural ecosystem rather than a dismissal of these art forms. Ballet companies, opera houses, and performers around the world have responded not just defensively, but creatively, using the moment to reaffirm their relevance and invite broader participation.